friends. Wanted to come on and do a little gardening with you. One of them is kind of not really gardening. One of them is my money tree that we kind of bought it on sale, and one of the stems has died, and I need to get it out of its big pot. And it kind of made me think about how we need to repot ourselves. And really sometimes look at the environment where we're sitting and say, hey, is this actually the best environment for me? Am I actually causing myself harm by being in this environment that I keep putting myself in? And that was another piece for me and the whole different communities that I've been a part of over time, is I'm starting to realize that like I was inviting some of the harm on myself because I believed something that maybe wasn't for my best interest. And I realized that there is so much gaslighting that goes on in the spiritual community. And that's kind of something hard to kind of manage with, because I'm part of the spiritual, or I was part of the spiritual community. And when I look back at it, I was totally part of the problem. And I think that was the hardest bit to kind of overcome, was realizing that, you know, I'm mad at this community for kind of like making you think that, yeah, eventually everything's gonna just be okay, and da-da, if you keep doing this and you keep, well, no. It's not about getting to a point where there is no suffering. It's getting used to the suffering and understanding how to ride the waves through the suffering. Suffering, I don't want to say it's the whole point, but it's like, how do you deal with the suffering is the whole point. How do you actually respond when people treat you properly, right? And you know, spirituality teaches this whole thing about like go inward and figure out like who you are, so then you understand that those people are just a reflection of yourself. And why you're so angry is you're triggered by looking at yourself. Well, we just keep surrounding ourselves with the same people, and we go, yeah, you're healing, and we go, yeah, you're healing, and oh, you're doing a great job. And then we get stuck. And then we get really, really sick. And then we go, there's no way that I'm choosing this. So then you look for another solution, and you look for another solution, and you look for another solution. And every single time you get a little bit of relief, but it never really goes anywhere. And now that I've actually had a therapeutic experience where it went somewhere and it worked, because it worked specifically for me, you go, oh my God, there is so much work that needs to be done. And I know not everybody is ready for it, and I was ready when I needed to be ready. But we're kind of doing people a disservice by not telling them this is a training ground for you to get some tools and a skill set so you can actually face life's issues head on. Instead of telling people that if you work in this magical way, your life will just be magic and you can manifest anything. I mean, I believe that. But there's this like structure underneath that, which I work with in shamanism, that is just incredibly basic. And when you actually learn the basics to life and what you actually need out of life, all of that other stuff becomes superfluous. And all of that other stuff kind of just seems silly. And now I, oh, okay. So they don't know any English because they're in Korea. I hope I can put subtitles on this at some point. But I truly think that like we're holding ourselves back from these big epiphanies because we're so afraid to face the truth. And when I started teaching shadow work, people were really nervous, and it was kind of hard to convince people. And then when I finally did a program, it was like, whoo, that was crazy. People were not ready. And it was a lesson for me about people need to be ready for shadow work, and people need to be at the right place in the right mindset, you know, and be with the right therapist, because you have to do all of this with therapy, with somebody there to support you when you have these breakthroughs. Because I will tell you, if you don't have somebody there to support you when you have those breakthroughs, you think you're going crazy. And you think you're having these like, I do jump timelines. I like play this magical place between all of this. I use science and I use magic to accomplish what I do. But you need to have both. It has to be both. It can't just be all magic all the time, and it can't just be all human all the time. The magic is in the liminal. It's right in between. And when you can learn to embrace your natural environment and learn to look even at your house plants. This is my money plant. And I knew when I got him, I had kind of like rescued him out of the sale section. I think it was Home Depot. So there's one, you can see it here. There was one that was never really healthy, and I have to kind of, oh yeah, I have to get these bad boys out. But sometimes when we have pieces of ourselves that feel not good, or we're avoiding something and we know it's unhealthy, and we know that, like, if I continue, you know, sometimes in the past my weed smoking has not been healthy. In the past my alcoholic intake has not been healthy, and I was using for reasons not, you know, for therapeutic reasons. So it was not good for me to be using that medicine at that time, because I didn't have the wisdom yet to use it in the way that I use it now. And I just needed it to numb me out, and sometimes that's okay. And I keep saying to people, if you need to sometimes use something to disassociate, I read a lot. Well, actually, I haven't this summer, which is kind of funny, because this summer I've been able to help my disassociation with weed, and I haven't been reading at all. So it really truly does tell me that I disassociate by reading, which then I go, oh my God, think of all of those years, all of those summers I just spent reading in trees, and I was just disassociating. So, whew, fun times, man, when you get to be an adult and you get to be, oh, somebody retracted their comment. I'm sure it was lovely. Thanks for retracting it, though. Oh, I've got some stinging nettle here. I keep forgetting. And I just got a little stung on my wrist. I actually asked my garden this year to grow me some stinging nettle. And I've got all these little wee tiny babies. And I've got some bigger ones here that just sprouted up in these little planters that I have after I had asked for some stinging nettle, because I want to make some stinging nettle tea. So now I have stinging nettle, but it's all in my planters, so I keep getting stung. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this out and see how it's looking, because I'm a little worried. Oh no, I think it's okay. I just need to give it some more space to create a really good root system. Like, it's got some good roots on there. And I'm just gonna lay this down. And if you didn't know, a money tree is like 3 different root systems. So they're all bound together, and look, they bound them with an elastic band. But yeah, they're 3, and that's what creates this, like, they're literally braiding the trees together. So I'm just gonna lay him down and I'm gonna leave all of this soil at the bottom that has this percolite in it, because it's really good for draining. And if I did have some rocks, I would have put it in there. I just read this story about farmers and landscapers getting this like crazy rare disease that's untreatable through like soil. So now I'm like, I better be washing my hands and my cuts all the time, which I'm really bad at. I got this massive cut on my finger because I got all dysregulated and didn't feel my pain. That's how it works for me. Freya, no, don't drink that water. That's not good water. You're thirsty. Let's just move this. I don't need my dog drinking stagnant water. People were good. Okay, so I've made a little, see look, I made a little well in there of a spot to put this so its roots can grow out. And hopefully, once it's got a little more room and a little more, oh, I gotta dig down more. Okay. Probably have to take out all the soil that I just put in, but I did mix it all, so it's okay. But yeah, so this whole idea of repotting yourself, I feel like I've kind of taken myself out of one pot and put myself into another pot. So I used to teach a lot in the spiritual community, and I used to talk about like gods and goddesses and like all that work, and I still make potions and I still do all of that work. I just don't do it in the same way. I do it in a much more, to me anyway, feels grounded in reality a little more. Even though I do shamanic trance and I talk to dead people, my reality is a little different than other people's realities. But it's now the work that I do is way more rooted in reality, and the work that I do is more with my forest and not with everyone else's ancestors, because that's really what I was doing before. I was a medium giving messages to everybody else and not really using that magic for me, and I needed to start using that magic for me. That's what they kept telling me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I use that magic for me. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, yes, I did. They go, no, you don't. So now, 12:22, and the plane's taken off. Everybody thinks Beaver's here. So I live one concession south of Justine Beaver, and he just had a baby, or Haley just had a baby. So there's been planes flying over us for days because they're trying to see if they're next door. And then a couple of weeks ago, I actually recorded a video about it. They were like dive bombing the house to see if like not dive bombing, but they'd shut the engine off and like swoop down to see if he was there. And my husband's like, you're crazy, that's not what's happening. And then today or yesterday they announced that their baby bear was born. So yeah, I live near the Beebs in Canada. So anywho, sometimes you need to repot yourself because you need to be in a different environment. I'm sure the Beebs is here now because he doesn't want the toxicity of LA and he doesn't want all the big show of it. So he's come somewhere quiet because Puss Lunch is pretty quiet. So it's okay to stop doing what you were previously doing and change direction and do something else. And it's okay to completely change your beliefs. It's okay to go, this isn't working for me. I think I should look at some other things, and maybe I should start asking my friends what they're doing, and maybe I should, just chase what makes me happy. Because right now that's what I'm doing, and life feels so much better. Okay, bye for now, wildlings. Talk to you soon.